Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another crochet video. So today I'm going to be showing y'all how I made this cardigan. It was inspired by the Harry Styles cardigan. I just did a little modifications on mine. So just a reminder, when I do this crochet videos, it's not like a full tutorial. I'm trying to figure out how to do this myself. So I'm just bringing y'all along on the process of how I'm doing it. Doesn't mean it's the right way, it's just how I made this sweater basically. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos, and let's get started into this DIY. So this is a little drawing. I know it looked like a kindergartner drew this, but this is a little drawing that I did to show y'all basically my quote-unquote pattern that I made up. So I'm going to be doing 20 single crochet squares. So I start with 20 single crochets and I measure that, which is around 5¼ inches, and then I do rows up so it can match, so it can make a perfect square. And I did a lot of different patterns. So if you do like a half double crochet or a double crochet instead of a single crochet, it's gonna be a different size. So you will probably just stick to using the inch measurements to measure it, because you'll probably have to do less chains. So you're gonna need 44 of those squares, and you're gonna need two half squares, like a diagonal half square. I use a 4.5 millimeter hook, and I use buttons also. So this is how it's going to be. The front is gonna have to have 8 squares and 2 half squares. The back needs 12 squares, and each sleeve needs 12 squares. So you're going to need 44 squares in total, and you're gonna see how much yarn I use in the next clip. But you're also gonna need yarn for the ribbing on the bottom edge and the armholes and also the neckline. So here I'm going to show y'all the yarn I use. This is not all, like I didn't use all this yarn. I still have some left over, but I used all of that white. I used all of the yellow, and most of everything else is finished. I use a little bit of a darker blue also that's not in this clip, but most of the yarn is finished. So this is around the amount of yarn that you're going to need. And these are some of my squares. So I was experimenting with a lot of different patterns here. So my squares are not even squares. I tried to line them up when I connected them in the ending, but most of my squares are not perfect squares and they're not even squares because I was using different stitches and different types of patterns to make it all unique. So you can still fix that up in the end, but it will be much easier to stitch everything together if they're all like perfect squares. I just didn't take the time out to measure each square while I was doing it, so I recommend you do that so that you could have a more polished look. So I'm going to show y'all how to make one of these squares, and that same technique is used in multiple of my squares. I'm not going to show y'all how to do a basic square because this is not the video for that. So what I'm starting with here, I chained 21 because I'm using single crochet, so I chained the extra one and I made a row of single crochet. You don't need to make that row of single crochet. You could start in the pattern in the first row like I did with that one, but this one for some reason I'm starting with a row of single crochet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet 4 for this color. Okay, I want to single crochet 4 because we're making square patterns, and the square is going to be 4 by 4 squares. So I'm going to single crochet 4. On the fourth single crochet, I'm going to do something different. So this is the third single crochet right here. And approaching my 4th single crochet, I'm going to do it regularly. I'm going to pull it out, but I'm going to switch colors here. So the last piece of yarn that you pull through, that's where you would change your color for the following stitch. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the next color, the yellow, and I'm just going to pull it through. I'm not going to make a slip stitch. I'm just going to pull it through just like that. I'm going to tighten my blue string just so it could be tighter. And I'm going to continue using that yellow until I want to switch again. So with the extra yarn, with the tail of the yellow and the blue, I'm going to be laying that on top of what I already stitched, and I'm making sure that I'm creating these stitches over that so that could be woven into the fabric that I'm making basically. So I'm going to continue with my single crochets with this new color. So This is going to be my first single crochet with that yellow. This is one, and you see that my string is laying on the top of what I already stitched. That's one single crochet. So I make sure I'm weaving those yarns in. This is the second single crochet. Okay, I'm just showing y'all how my yarn is placed so y'all don't get confused and y'all can see where I'm placing the yarn that I'm weaving in while I'm going through it. So this is going to be my third single crochet, and on my fourth single crochet I'm going to put it in, pull it out, and the yarn that I'm pulling through for the last yarn that I'm pulling through, I'm going to switch from yellow to blue. Okay, and I'm going to just pull that through, tighten the yellow, and continue with blue. So this is basically like the technique I use for most of the squares. If any pattern I want to do, this is what I'm using. So you're going to continue on with that fat pattern for 4 squares, 4 single crochets for each color. And you're going to continue that for 4 rows up. And when you're done with your 4 rows up, you're going to switch colors. Now you could do this any way. You could do more squares or less squares. You could do 5 single crochets and do like 4 squares in each row. Is just up to you. So this is after I'm done with the 4x4 square. So how you're gonna switch the color on the end? I'm finishing off this stitch, this blue one, and you usually chain 1 when you go to the other stitch. What am I going to do is when I chain 1, I'm going to switch colors. So I'm ending with blue, but on the next line, I want to start with yellow. So I'm going to chain 1 with the yellow string. I'm just going to flip it over, chain 1 with that yellow string, turn, and then I'm going to do the same pattern but in differently. So I'm going to start with the yellow, and the second square going to be blue, and that's how I'm going to continue for the next 4 rows and then switch again. So this is really, as I said, is the basis for a lot of the patches that I made. Like the one with the N on it is the same exact technique, but instead of doing this pattern, the sequence of switching colors, I did it in a different sequence so it could spell out my name. What you can do is you could get a piece of graph paper and plan out where you want the colors to go. So you could have like a 20 by 20 square, and you could plan out what color goes in what stitch. This is how I make my cow print. I just improvise and switch colors where I want to switch it so that I can make it look like there's a pattern in the stitching. So with the sweater, I did a lot of different stitches. Like I did the waffle stitch and did the hound stitch. I just experimented with stitches. I looked up like unique stitches for crochet, and I found a lot of stitches, and I just tried it out and continued on with that. I also did like granny squares. Like you just do whatever you want with any stitches. You could do it all plain regular crochets. You could do double double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, whatever you want. It's just the point is to make the squares even and the same so that it will be easier for you to stitch them together. So I added a row of single crochet on top just so it could match the bottom, but it still don't match. But like my squares are not even. Like this one, as you can see, wait, 1 2 3 4 5, yeah, it's smaller. Why is it so much smaller? And all of these, like, okay, this is around the same size, but this is like bigger than these. I don't know why. I think I did an extra row here, so I don't know. This one also is not like, look at this compared to this. Like, I don't know, but I'm going to do a cow print next. All right, yo, so it's 3:30 in the morning, and this is what I'm doing. So I have like 40 squares in total right now. I'm not sure if it's gonna be enough because I'm using, what is this, 12 squares. This is the back panel, and I'm also using 12 squares in the front panel, but I made these half shapes So I'm not really using like full squares. I'm still trying to figure out a pattern because I don't usually like look at patterns or base my stuff on patterns. I kind of just figure it out on my own. So that's where this parts come in, is like the most confusing part for me, because I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to go and how this is going to look. I might need more to like crochet more squares for the arms because I don't feel like this is enough for my sleeves. I'm just a little confused as to what I'm doing right now. So I'm just trying to lay it out to see how it's gonna look. So as you can see, like I'm putting together the sweater. This is the back of the sweater. This is like, well, this is the back side of the sweater, but like this is like the right side. This is the wrong side. And I'm just using the string to like sew it. So I'm using the yarn needle, and I'm honestly not doing any like specific type of stitch. I'm just like going back and forth. So I'm just going into one side, going out to the other side, and then into this side, like into this side, and coming out to this side and into this side. I'm just like tying the strings wherever. So I'm not doing any like proper like sewing or like special technique. I just feel like you should just sew however you sew, or stitch however you want to stitch it together. But yeah, I'm gonna show y'all what I'm doing, but like I'm not doing anything special. So that's that. All right, so I'm putting these together. So these are the right sides, I want to show. This is the wrong side. So right sides together, and I'm just going to take my yarn needle. I recommend using a metal yarn needle because I feel like it's easier, but I bought like 20 yarn needles and this is the only one I could find, so I just be losing them. So I look so ratchet with this bonnet on, but yeah, this is it. So I'm just gonna go in through, I'll show you this way. I'm just pressing them together like a sandwich. I'm going to in through one side, just like this, out through the other side, out through this side, and I'm just pull it through. And I just have the string like this. And what I did at the beginning, I just tied the string together. I just like tie together. And when the string is done, I'm just gonna tie the ends together, or I'll tie it to like a loose string on one of these. Like I might tie the string to one of these, or I might just, you know, stitch this in together. So that's all I'm doing. All right, y'all. So I've been doing this thing because like I've, you know, like setting up a camera and like doing all this is just a lot, and I really want to get through this sweater. So sorry if I'm not showing you the whole process, but what I did was I made this ribbing. I just back did half double crochet, and this is six chains. So I did 8 chains, and then I half double crochet, which would make 6 chains because you chain 2, right? So I did 6 half double crochets, and then all I did went back was I single crocheted it. I made this whole half double crochet back loop ribbing long enough to go around my whole sweater, the whole like back of my sweater, right? And I just single crocheted along both of them, along the ends of both of them, and that's how I attached it. And then let me show you how my sweater's looking right now, actually, because yeah, I haven't seen it. So I put together most of my sweater, one sleeve, because I don't have enough squares for the other sleeve. So I'm gonna show y'all how I do the other sleeve when I'm having no squares. But basically I used what's 3 times 4? I used 12. I used 12 of those squares to make this, because I felt like me using like an even 16, you know, would be too big. So what I did, I don't know if you understand, let me show y'all. This is a square, this is a square. So you see how the squares line up? On the armpit side, it don't line up. I'll show y'all my dirty clothes. On the armpit side, it don't line up. I just use this square and fold it in half and just do it like that. So that's how that looks. Now let me show y'all how this looks. So right now this is how it's looking. I did a single crochet all around here, and now I'm gonna do this half double crochet around. I'm not gonna make this thicker than this, I think, than this half double crochet. So I did a single around, and I came back up and doing half double crochet. This is the side where the button's gonna be, and this is the side where the holes are gonna be. So what I'm gonna do on this side when I half double crochet, I'm just gonna like chain like 1 and put a hole at like 4 spaces on this side. I'm like figuring this out while I'm doing it. That's why I'm like filming anything, because this is really not a tutorial. This is just a process of me doing stuff. Like when I do it, I'm making a video at the same time, because I'm not gonna make a project twice. So I'm not gonna do it then figure it out then make another project to show y'all how I did it. I'm just figuring this out as I'm going. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna make the buttonholes. I think I'm just going to like chain 1 and then skip that space and then go about my business, and that's gonna be the hole for the buttons. And then I'm just gonna sew on the buttons to the side. That's how I'm gonna do it. So yeah, let's just see how that looks when that's done. All right, so now I have a hard decision to make. Okay, I'm thinking about buttons. So this to this is a straight edge. I could do like a button from here and do like evenly spaced buttons. Like I think 5 buttons might be much, would it? If I just like do 4, because just down here need a button. Probably does, right? Down here. So if I do, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. 4 is good. If I introduce like a 5th, I mean that's still fine. You know, if I just want to use 4. But then again, I like the 1 color buttons. I don't really care for 2 color buttons, because the sweater is already like all these freaking colors and patterns. Like it's already crazy. So making it in this like multiple colors is just, it's just bringing it to a different level. I could also use like these buttons. So basically what I did was like I crocheted like all these. I crocheted separately, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So there was like strips of 3, and then I'm just putting them together and crocheting them alongside like this way, so it matches up. And then after I do that, I'm just gonna take this, and you see how this is smaller than this. I'm gonna just like, I'm going to crochet this onto this so that it fits, so it can have more cinched look. So like, see how this is like more cinched in and stuff. Well, it's more cinched on this side because like that was just how it was. I didn't really do it evenly, but because I did it a different way for that sleeve, but this sleeve should be more even. So when I'm doing this part, I'm just going to like, so like, okay, so usually you would like crochet 1 of these stitches into 1-to-1 stitches, but instead of doing that, I might crochet like 3 of these stitches into 1 stitch of this, so that it could fit basically and give that scrunched up look. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to skip like, okay, so like this is the next stitch. I'm going to skip that stitch and go into this stitch, and then I'm going to go into the stitch next to the ribbon stitch, like the next ribbon stitch, and do that, so that, you know, I skipped a couple of stitches on the long piece so that it will fit on the short piece, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna just keep skipping stitches here and going on every stitch on the ribbon piece, or I could go into every stitch on the long piece but go into the same 1 stitch on the ribbon piece. So say like I'm taking a third, the first is taking in the 3rd stitch on this long piece, and I'm going to single crochet into only all those 3 stitches into 1 stitch on the ribbon piece. So that's how it's gonna all fit on it, and that's what I'm gonna do. So this is it from like the inside. So I turned this inside out, right, Yeah, it don't look the same because of the different, like, I use the needle to do this and I use the single crochet, so you can see the difference. Like, this is flatter, like this is a stitching right here, and this is like way more noticeable. It's a different color also, but this is like more, have a height to it. So what I did with this sweater, as you can see, like the height is of 3 boxes, so I just attached it right here at the last box and attached it at the shoulder. So that's how I attached it. So there's 2 boxes that's open here. So you can make a sleeve that's 4 boxes wide, but I didn't because I thought that would just be a little too wide, so I made it 3 boxes wide. Okay, so let's turn this inside out again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of these boxes. I'm going to attach it to the boxes here. So this is literally the top of the sweater, right? This is the shoulder part and this is the hole. So I'm going to take this end of the sweater, I'm going to attach it to this box right here. I'm going to attach this to this box and I'm going to attach this to this box. So 2 of these boxes are getting attached to the boxes, and I'm gonna have a 3rd box left. So let me try to show y'all in a different way. But yeah, so this video is really more of like a follow of, like, I'm showing y'all what I'm doing, but if I use different measurements and like measure it differently, it could work out different ways. So you could use different measurements so that the 2 boxes will match up and the sleeve wouldn't be as big. If you use smaller boxes, you could use like 4 panels and use 4 of the panels to make a sleeve or something like that. It's just that I'm just improvising based on the square size that I made. So I don't really use patterns or anything like that. I just improvise from what I'm doing. So I'm just showing you what I'm doing, but I don't really think you should follow the exact way I'm making it. If you want to, you could, but it's like problem solving kind of in a way. So yeah, sorry if it's a little confusing, but yeah, let me go through this again. I'm going to single crochet right here, and then I'm going to single crochet this to this side, and then I'm going to connect these 2 sides by single crocheting them both so it can make it round. And then I'm going to just, it's going to be round, and I'm going to single crochet the rest of this here, attach it to the sides, and finish crocheting here, and then I'll be back after I do that. Okay guys, this is the final product. This is the buttons that I decided to go with. I really liked how this turned out. I think I'm going to do more sweaters like this. I'm just going to modify the pattern a little. As you can see in the front, the 2 front squares don't line up. It's because I did a measure on my squares while I was doing it, so keep that in mind. But other than that, I really love how this sweater turned out. I really love how it's kind of like cropped. And it was not all the way down. I love all the different patterns and stuff, and I'm going to be doing like more sweaters and stuff like this because I just really love how this turned out. So make sure to like this video if you like the sweater, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more crochet videos, or if you have any suggestions on what I should make next. Toodaloo!